Immigrant arrests have begun. Out of 1,000 green cards and citizenships checked in Minneapolis, 275 turned out to be fraudulent. 275 out of 1,000. The amount of fraud in the immigration system is just staggering. The director of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, Joseph Edlow, initiated the first pilot fraud check for obtaining various immigration statuses in the United States in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, largely because tens of thousands of Somalis, that is, people from Somalia, have gathered in the city and state, and attention to this geographic national group was drawn by the member of the House of Representatives from this city, Ilhan Omar. Ilhan, who came to the United States from Somalia, according to the documents found, married her own brother to help him obtain legal status in the United States. She also filed tax documents as a married woman to reduce her taxes, even though she was not actually married, simply wanting to pay less. It's clear that cheating, especially when you're, let's say, a member of Congress, is not really right. In general, you shouldn't cheat. Nah, Doc, you need to do it differently. You need to figure out how to pay less, but legally. Ilhan is accused of organizing mass fraudulent immigration from Somalia, and the authorities came to check this.
The United States Citizenship and Immigration Service is joining forces with the FBI and Immigration and Customs Enforcement to conduct the operation. Double Shield is a tough fight against immigration fraud in the Twin Cities of Minnesota.
In just 9 days, the agencies reviewed more than 1,000 cases, identified 275 suspicious cases of fraud, referred 42 of them to Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, and made 4 arrests.
So, chronologically, 1,000 immigration cases were taken, and the very first check found 275, as I said, cases of fraud, deception, and forgery. 42 cases have already gone to the prosecutor's office, and on the very first day, 4 arrests were made. But the number, of course, 275 out of 1,000, it's really impressive, Joseph.
That you had sham marriages, fake death certificates. 275 cases had red flags, and that's just one city being analyzed in the United States.
Yes, that's only one area. We began with 1,000 targets, unsure of what we'd find. We've found fraud in all types of immigration benefits that we offer. Glad to see where this leads. As you said, it's just the first step.
This is the first stage. We visit the Twin Cities, collect information, return, review cases, work on denaturalizing and deporting people and denying benefits. Ultimately, by working with the United States Attorney, we will secure prosecutions here.
The director of the agency said that he is also shocked by the amount of fraud. Forgeries have been found in every category. We, said Edlow, are already seeing. We are already seeing many cases that will require denaturalization. I've already explained this citizenship revocation and removal. A person obtained citizenship by deception based on these falsified lies or other things. That's how they got citizenship, and that's why it is being revoked. Revocation of visas, loss of green cards, and also, importantly, arrests and punishments for lawyers and immigration officials who were directly involved in this.
Joseph, do you have any idea how many cases of immigration fraud occur across the country? If you extrapolate what you found, let's say, just in the Twin Cities, how many people could potentially be subject to deportation?
Well, listen, we started in Minnesota because we knew there was a hotspot of immigration fraud there. That's why we wanted to go there to learn everything we could before heading to other cities. All I can say is that based on what we learned, the levels of fraud are far higher than anything I expected. I think it's almost impossible to measure how much immigration fraud exists in this country overall, but we'll find out. I'm not going to stop there. We're going to go to other cities. We will work with other United States federal prosecutors. I'm very grateful to have Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the FBI, Drug Enforcement Administration, Customs and Border Protection, and the Federal Protective Service as partners in this. Let's continue and stop this. My message is that we are declaring war on immigration fraud, and I won't stop until this system regains its integrity. After
3 decades of negligence, the administration has decided to rid the country of fraudsters. From those who receive without any right, suppose many people arrived here and began getting government assistance. And also from those who, after coming here, well, let's say wave Hamas flags, shout hooray, and burn our American flags. Although
you
have plans
to consider the H-1B visa programs. Do you have plans to consider these student visa programs at all? Great question. We found fraud in both programs in Minnesota. As I said, I was looking for marriage fraud, and we found fraud in the optional practical training program, which is part of the student visa process at the end of the process after someone has completed their studies. We also found a couple of cases where people were here on H-1B visas claiming to be highly skilled workers, but were actually working as caregivers. I'm not saying that's not an important job. It certainly is, but it's not grounds for an H-1B visa. There's widespread fraud here. It's not just foreigners, it's lawyers, it's those who prepare the application and supporting documents, and everyone should be held accountable for that.
everyone who advised on scams, prepared and forged documents, assisted in fraud will be held accountable. Let's take, for example, an application to bring in a non-citizen spouse. What is currently required and what is a red flag for the decision on granting immigration permission?
The first scenario in which United States Citizenship and Immigration Services will require an interview is if your Form I-130 or I-485 or in the supporting documents, there is a lack of evidence or there is a discrepancy in the answers. If United States Citizenship and Immigration Services officers believe that the marriage is not genuine, or if they have doubts, suspicions, or questions about what is in your case and why something does not match, they must interview you and your spouse to determine if your marriage is genuine and if the beneficiary qualifies for lawful permanent resident status in the United States. Similarly, if the officer finds that there is conflicting information in the forms or negative information in the backgrounds of either the beneficiary or the petitioner, such as criminal records, of the sponsor or the immigrant being sponsored, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services must interview and discuss all these cases. Tell us about these arrests. Tell us about these inconsistencies. Why should we believe you? Why should we grant you an immigration benefit? Why should we use our discretion to grant you a foreign national immigration status and the green card here in the United States? Marriages where both partners were 16 or 17, or the United States citizen was much younger than the beneficiary by over 10 years. Such cases will be thoroughly reviewed and they will need to go through the process. Many of them in which
I advise everyone who is in the process, or everyone who has entered the United States under this category, to get and read all 10 new rules. Here, and now a little more about Minneapolis.
the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services War, the war against immigration fraud. Right now, you may have heard that United States Citizenship and Immigration Services recently started a major investigation in Minneapolis, and they have. They also released a press release about it, and it's the first of its kind. And this is an operation targeting alleged immigration fraud in Minneapolis, with more than 1,000 immigration cases being reviewed. Now, if you can just think about that for a moment, this is a United States Citizenship and Immigration Services benefit, a vetted organization within DEPAR under the Department of Homeland Security, which has gathered quite a lot of resources and said, let's just go into the city and look at all these files, look at all these cases that were filed from Minneapolis and see what we can find. They called it Operation Twinshield, Operation TE. Twinshield, and it involved United States Citizenship and Immigration Services as well as FETIR, and they were doing their work. Between September 19 and September 28, immigration officers found suspected fraud in 275 cases in the Minneapolis area. According to this press release, it also says that they focused on more than 1,000 cases where there were signs of fraud or non-compliance. They conducted more than 900 site visits. Yes, they are still conducting site visits. This could be either a person's home or workplace. If you are a student on an F1 visa, it could even be your dormitory. If you are on an H-1B visa, it could be your workplace.
Years have passed, and you have already decided that you don't need to pretend that you don't live with your fake wife or husband. Suddenly, at 6 in the morning, there's a knock at the door. Inspection? You can't not open. Inspection. Where are her things, her makeup, and where is she? By the way, who is that in your bed, a woman or a man?
Let's close it then.
Self-appointed lawmaker?
I don't know where they'll go next. Just know that they'll be conducting inspections city by city to find fraud.
No, they won't go one by one. After refining their fraud detection techniques, the immigration authorities will begin conducting mass inspections simultaneously in many major cities, checking for fraud, inconsistencies, hidden facts, and so on. But as we know, fraud isn't only among new immigrants. As you probably remember, about a year ago, New York Attorney General Letitia James tried to sue Trump, accusing him of real estate fraud. They tried to make Trump pay about $600 million for what they said was false advertising in a brochure. Well, I mean, there was no crime. But Letitia herself, so Letitia, as it turned out, was committing exactly the kind of fraud she was trying to accuse him of. Who, Trump? And thunderstruck. She got caught just like her friend from, let's see, Minneapolis, Ilhan Omar. Letitia forged documents, lied, signed blatant falsehoods, and at the same time shouted everywhere that it wasn't true. She said Trump fabricated everything for revenge and asked kind people to help fund her defense. By the way, Senator Adam Schiff from California, who lied about Trump, was caught doing the same thing as Letitia.
Letitia James is in serious trouble right now. The Democratic Party doesn't want her to remain as Attorney General. Meanwhile, you have Adam Schiff, who, according to my sources, is next in line to be indicted. The situation is really heating up. Guys, this is serious business. Serious business. I have new documents, including an additional agreement for Letitia's second house, which just came up. And I'm telling you, she's in trouble because she says one thing but submits documents as something else to get a better mortgage rate. We're closely following this story as Letitia prepares to step down as New York's Attorney General. Meanwhile, wow, one thing after another. Are you having trouble with the FBI? She should resign. Her career is at risk. You know, I remember Letitia. She looked very happy at that Labor Day parade just a month ago. A little over a month ago, she danced in New York streets beside portable toilets. They said, here's your Attorney General, some Letitia James, and well, it didn't really seem like anyone cared much, did they? We learned she was renting it out. All right, it wasn't a vacation home, it's what you call an income property. And then we found out that she lied on the loan application for that townhouse in New York, right? Where was it, actually? You could get a better deal if you said you had 4 apartments instead of 5. And that's what she did. And then, I mean, it's not over yet, right? I mean, think about Dad. I mean, it's like Ilkan Omar style. I mean, she claims she's the wife on a mortgage application from somewhere in the late 80s. I'm like, wow, That's definitely a pattern if I've seen one. The petition is in big trouble.
In Louisiana, 3 current or former police chiefs have been arrested, plus 2 lawyer intermediaries for participating in a large-scale scheme, as it was written with visas for a special category of crime victims for $5,000. For each victim, of course, the police were issuing special reports that allowed foreigners to apply for visas and receive various types of visas, as well as permission to stay in the United States. The number of fake documents they found is already in the hundreds. It is believed that the 5 participants split about $5 million a million each. They face confiscation of property and up to 10 years in prison. It's quite possible that for very good behavior, they could be released in 5 years. In the Russian-speaking immigrant community, Yuri Moshe has already been sentenced for fabricating stories and assembling supporting evidence and documents for non-existent persecution based on which visas, green cards, and similar permits were issued here. And among those who were allegedly persecuted, there were several KGB officers. Among immigrants from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, many cases of falsification of awards, court decisions that supposedly took place there, alleged inventions, discoveries, and international diplomas have been uncovered. So, according to rumors, an electrician from one of the Ukrainian theaters turned out, according to documents, to be a director persecuted by the authorities, whose plays he supposedly staged were removed from the stage. It turns out the electrician fled from persecution. In the United States, checks using artificial intelligence have been introduced, and they check sexual networks, social networks, including deleted information to make it clear to compare it with signed statements. Terrible. Interesting, isn't it? Well, who finds it interesting and who finds it scary? One of the most common schemes among former KGB members, both in Eastern Europe, is fake employment. Fraudster lawyers offer to provide companies that supposedly sponsor a visa or a green card. In reality, the companies either exist only on paper or consist of just one owner. Tens of thousands of dollars that are paid to the lawyer and to this so-called company for their paperwork can, let's say, result in losing your status and being deported from the United States. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, there is a major crackdown going on. If you have skeletons in your closet, go see a lawyer. And do it quickly. That's all. I understand that this is an important and painful, sensitive topic, yes, for many people. Well, so to speak, we all know that people used all sorts of tricks, schemes, and so on to get a foothold, to stay, to get documents, and so on and so forth. And that's why I'll be talking about all the news and developments on this front. That's all. Goodbye.